Let's get back to our coverage of Justice for Aniya, day 3 of the trial. We do know that this social worker has requested that her face is not shown, so you will not see her on camera. Let's get back to our coverage live here in Cleveland for the Aniya Day-Garrett murder trial.
Raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear to testify to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And this you do as you shall answer to God of the pains and penalty of perjury. Good afternoon. Make sure you speak directly into the microphone. You can adjust the microphone so you will not move. Remain quiet.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Lilly.
Keep
Okay,
your voice up and speak into the microphone, please.
like the judge said, the chair doesn't move. You can get closer to the microphone. Please state your full name, spelling your first and last name for the court reporter.
Chelsea Lilly, Lilloy.
And Ms. Lilly, by whom are you employed?
Cuyahoga County Division of Children and Family Services.
And how long have you so been employed by them?
3 years.
All right. And what kind of undergraduate work did you do in order for you to maintain your position?
I have a bachelor's in Law and Society, Pre-Law, and Forensic Science.
And what university did you go to, ma'am?
Purdue University.
All right. And when were you hired at Children and Family Services?
In September 2016.
And what position were you hired into?
I was hired as a social worker 3 child protection specialist.
All right. And can you tell me what kind of training you obtained initially before you got your caseload? How does it work at Children and Family Services?
We go through a 2 to 3 month training. It ranges during all aspects of child welfare. We learn about the different varieties of child abuse. We learn about case planning, family assessments, safety assessments. We learn about the legal aspects, what are supportive services, what we can offer families. We also shadow during our training process, and then we eventually go into a transition process where we begin to get our own caseloads.
All right. Let's talk about a shadowing process. What do you mean by that?
We get assigned to a seasoned worker, and we shadow them, whether it's for a day to 2 to 3 days.
And with regards to, you've indicated this type of abuse, these things that you are trained in, how long does that process take? The training, your initial training.
Initial training in regards to each aspect?
Yes.
It can range anywhere from 2 to 3 days, or sometimes a week or 2.
All right. And how many modules do you go through?
8.
After you've completed your 8 modules that you've just spoken about, what is the transition unit?
The transition unit is that we are assigned to 1 of 3 units under 3 seasoned supervisors. And like I said, we get our own caseloads. They're very small, usually under 5.
All right. And this transition unit, which particular units could you be assigned to if you're put into the transition unit?
You don't get assigned directly to a unit right away, but you can either be put in short-term services investigations or our extended services unit.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Our extended services unit.
Okay. What is extended services unit?
Extended services is when, after a case is deemed ready to be transferred, the family is either court involved or deemed needed more services, they would be transferred to a worker that would work with the family longer term.
And during this transition, are you also involved with any specific cases? Once you go into the transition unit, do you start obtaining your own cases?
Yes.
Okay. How are they assigned to you?
They're assigned randomly when they get called into the hotline. When it's your unit, your supervisor's turn, they will get assigned to you by their discretion.
Okay. And just, Ms. Lilly, just so we can understand, just generically speaking, we're not going to talk about this case yet, but just say you're in this new position now and there's an initial call or a referral. What do you do?
Whenever we receive our original intake, our original referral, we place a call to the referent if they decide to leave their information to follow up and get further information in regards to any concerns that they have that may have been left out.
All right. And referrals, are they the mandatory reporters or people that may call in anonymously to your agency?
There are mandated reporters, but they can also be called in anonymously. Either way, they are to remain confidential.
All right. And once you obtain a referral, what do you do initially? Generally speaking, ma'am.
Generally speaking, we follow up with the referent if they leave their information. And then we have a certain time period where we are to dispatch and make contact with the family, whether it is within an hour time period or a 24-hour time period.
All right. Can you tell me about that? Are those two particular categories or priorities that calls are categorized in?
Yes, the hour time period is a priority one, which means it's an emergency referral. And the category 2 is the 24-hour mandate.
All right. And what do you have to do within the 24-hour mandate?
We follow up with the referent and we attempt to make contact with the family. We go out to their home unannounced. If that is unsuccessful, we also try to make a phone call to the family. If that is unsuccessful, we continue to go out to the home daily until face-to-face contact is made.
All right. And in addition to that, then what's your next process? What do you do next?
We attempt to engage the family. If we have successful contact with the family, we meet with them, we discuss the allegations of the referral. We speak with all individuals in the home, whether it's adults or children individually. If there are, we gather collateral contact information as well, which would be schools, daycares, hospitals, relatives, friends of the family. And then if we see immediate concerns in the home, that's when we would contact our supervisor, discuss those concerns. But if we would also speak with the family, if there weren't immediate needs, but we felt a need for services, we would speak with the family about various services that we can offer them and go from there.
And what kind of other services could you offer these families?
It depends on the situation. We can offer in-family counseling if there happens to be parenting conflict in the home, if the family is going through a divorce situation. We can also offer intense counseling such as MST and tapestry services, which focuses on the child but also helps guide the parents in their parenting practice. We also offer early childhood mental health, help me grow services. We offer a wide range.
All right. And just generally speaking, after you've done all that and you still have some concerns, do you have a staff?
Yes, we speak with our supervisor about the concerns. We decide to go forward and have a staffing.
Okay. Can you explain to us what is a staffing?
A staffing is when the agency still has concerns or there are immediate concerns regarding the family. If there are still concerns and we go forward with the staffing, there's a wide range of options that we can introduce to the family.
And who participates in the staffing?
Myself, my supervisor, the facilitator, who's just an unbiased person, a third party who kind of dictates the staffing. Sometimes their supervisor participates, and then you will invite the mother, the father, and then any of their relatives, any of their support systems.
And are there occasions where you don't have any concerns, but that you still put some services into home?
Yes,
Can you
when,
explain it to us?
yes, when that occurs, that's usually designated for short-term services, which can range anywhere from 45 to a 3-month time period. And that's when we would make sure that the family is engaging in services, whether it's counseling or if they need to complete AOD, which is an alcohol and drug assessment. If there's recommendations, we make sure that they're compliant with that.
And Miss Lilly, were you gainfully employed at the Department of Children and Family Services back in February 14th, 2017?
Yes,
And how long had you worked for Children and Family Services at that point?
6 months.
Okay. And what position were you in at the agency after the 6 months?
I was a social worker 3 short-term service investigator.
Okay. And were you getting your own referrals?
Yes,
All right. And back on February 14th, 2017, did you become involved in an emergency referral with regards to an Aniya Day?
yes.
All right. Now, could you please tell us how you became involved and what you initially did?
We became involved, we received an emergency referral on February 14, 2017 regarding Aniya. There were concerns that Aniya had bruising under her left eye. And when we received that referral, we followed up with the reporter, gathered other collateral information, and then dispatched immediately to where she was, which was Harbor Crest Daycare.
All right. And when you say we dispatched, who went out to Harbor Crest?
Myself.
Okay. And did you go there by yourself or with somebody else?
Myself.
Okay. When you arrived, what did you initially do?
When I arrived, I initially spoke with the center director, who reported her.
You can't tell me what the director told you.
Okay.
As a result of the information the director provided to you, what did you do? What steps did you take?
I requested to meet with Aniya.
And did you meet with her?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you meet with her?
I met with her in a classroom, in an empty classroom, with myself and the center director.
Okay. And can you, for the record, can you tell me, do you remember what the center director's name was?
Miss Dawson.
Okay. And when you and Ms. Dawson met with Aniya, what was your purpose in meeting with Aniya, ma'am?
To address her safety and to see if she needed medical attention.
Okay. And what were your observations and what did you do?
My observations was that she did have bruising under her left eye. And I did examine the rest of her body, which she had no other marks and bruises. I attempted to engage Aniya in conversation to see what happened.
And did you engage her in conversation?
Yes,
Okay. And was Aniya able to provide to you some information?
yes.
And what information did Aniya provide to you?
Objection. Overruled.
Aniya reported at first that her mother did it, and then she reported that her father did it. Aniya's story was inconsistent.
Okay. So as a result of meeting with Aniya, what else did you do at the time?
I placed a call to her mother. I reported that I needed to meet with her immediately, that we received emergency allegations regarding Aniya, and that she needed to come to the daycare right away.
All right. Did you get through? Well, first of all, who did you contact?
I contacted Sierra Day.
All right. And did she respond to your phone call?
At the first attempt, no. The second attempt, yes.
And did she come to the daycare center?
It took a few hours, but she eventually got there.
Okay. Did you stay at the daycare waiting for her there?
Yes,
All right. Did you contact her father?
yes.
Were you able to contact her father?
I did not get through. I left a voicemail. There was no response.
Okay, so approximately how long did you wait for Miss Day to come to the daycare?
I got to the daycare at 10:30, and I didn't meet with Miss Day until 3:30, 3:45.
In the afternoon?
Yes,
Okay, and where did you meet with Miss Day?
I met with Miss Day at her home.
At her,
At her home.
okay, and where was her home at the time, Miss Lily?
She was living at Harbor Crest Apartments.
Okay, and was Aniya there with you, or did you just meet with Miss Day by herself?
Miss Day kept Aniya at the daycare.
I'm sorry?
Miss Day kept Aniya at the daycare. I met with Miss Day by herself.
Okay, so when you went up to this apartment in Harbor Crest,
Yes.
were you able to go inside the apartment?
Yeah.
All right, first of all, what were your observations of this apartment that you walked into now?
The apartment was very clean. There was a lot of food in the home. All the utilities were working. Aniya had a lot of clothing, her own bed. All of her basic needs were being met.
All right, and is that something that you look at and consider when you are doing your assessment based on the reason why you went out there? Yes, I'll rephrase. You went out to the house now. You're at her house, correct?
Yes,
You were called in, there was a referral made. Is part and parcel of your investigation to do an assessment where the child is living
yes,
and the safety concerns with regards to this child,
yes.
all right? So when you say her needs were being met, is there like a mental checklist that you have to go through, or actually a formal checklist that you have to mark off at enough food in the home?
No, it's something that we're trained to do.
Okay, and so with regards to the food, why is that necessary?
To make sure that she has food to eat.
Okay, and safety concerns, what kinds of things are you looking at in the home?
We're looking to see if there's any safety hazards such as exposed wires, black mold, cleaning supplies left out in her reach. There's no food in the home, the utilities aren't working.
All right, what about the bedroom? What did you notice about, did she have a bedroom or did she share a bedroom?
She had her own bedroom.
Okay, what did you notice in her bedroom?
I noticed a lot of clothing, a lot of shoes. I did notice her own bed. I can't remember what else.
Okay, and so did you and Mrs. Day have a conversation about the incident that you were called out to investigate?
Yes.
All right, what types of questions did you ask Mrs. Day?
I asked Miss Day as to how this incident could have occurred, who was supervising Aniya when this incident occurred. I asked her, just follow-up information, collaterals, who watches Aniya, who helps supervise her, who her support systems are in regards to Aniya.
All right, now you've introduced something else here, support systems. What do you mean by that?
We look at the family support system to see, we also use that to examine as collaterals to see if, this child's being introduced to other people that could verify it if they're being abused or neglected. So in regards to support systems, we're talking about community supports, family supports, friend supports.
All right, now during this conversation with Ms. Day, was she able to answer your questions?
Yes.
And what information did Ms. Day share with you, Ms. Lilly, in response to your questions?
In regards to the allegation, she reported that when the incident occurred, Aniya was at her maternal grandfather, Eddie Day's home. She reported that she was being supervised by him, and while she was in his care, she ran into the side of the table.
Okay, and was she able to provide you who her support system was, who she allowed to watch Aniya?
Yes. She reported that she allows the maternal grandfather to watch Aniya, along with, she's reported that she was close with her pastor Debbie at the time.
Okay. And did you provide a last name for Debbie?
No.
All right. Did you ask Miss Day about Aniya's father?
Yes.
And did she provide you any information with regards to Aniya's father?
Yes, I attempted to engage her in conversation about Mr. Garrett. She reported that her and Mr. Garrett separated prior 3 months before that. She reported that she had no updated contact information for him, and that the only way she was able to get a hold of him was through Facebook.
All right. And when you are out and you are doing an assessment, do you also do a financial assessment and ask where funds are coming into the apartment?
Yes.
And was she able to tell you where she was employed?
Yes.
And where was she employed?
To my knowledge, at that time, she was employed at a dollar store of some sort.
Okay. And was she able to provide you other information? Was she receiving child support?
Yes.
Did she tell you that?
Yes.
She was receiving child support from Mr. Garrett.
Yes.
And was she receiving any other kind of income?
She was receiving medical, food assistance, and I want to say SSI, but I'm not positive.
Okay, fair enough. And when you say food assistance, what do you mean by that?
Food stamps.
Okay. And is that also another, another necessary component for you when you're looking at doing your assessment?
Yes, to see how they can financially provide and have the means to take care of their child.
All right. So you've now had this conversation with Ms. Day. Is there anything else that you discussed with Ms. Day with regards to this allegation?
Yes, I discussed prior concerns that individuals at the daycare had in regards to prior incidents that Aniya has come in with.
All right. What did you talk to her about? What other incidences did you bring to her attention?
The concerns that the daycare expressed, Aniya coming in with other marks, bruises.
And was she able to provide you some answers?
She reported that most of them occurred when they were in the care of her grandfather or in the care of her sister or Aniya's aunt. She said that Aniya's aunt's 2 children and cousins were very rough and played rough with her. She also reported that at times Aniya would go to daycare and then she'd come back with these marks.
Okay. So now you are armed with all this information, Ms. Lilly. What is your next process in your evaluation? What do you do next?
We follow up with other collaterals, such as I spoke with the grandfather who collaborated the story that the incident happened while he was caring for Aniya, that she ran into a table.
When you say you spoke to the grandfather, what was his name again, please?
Eddie Day.
All right. So he corroborated that story.
Yes.
Great. Who else did you speak to?
I spoke with various teachers within the daycare. Like I said, the daycare director, and I also reached out for collateral information regarding the police departments and medical.
Okay. And what do you mean the police department?
Requested police reports.
Okay.
Part of the investigation.
I'm sorry.
That's part of the investigation.
Okay. And did you also meet with Aniya and do anything else with Aniya to memorialize your findings or what you had observed? Did you take any pictures of Aniya?
Yes, I did.
And was it during this particular visit that you took the photographs?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach? State's Exhibit 101, 104. Yes. Okay.
Ms. Lilly, handing you with pin mark State's Exhibit 101 to 104. Take a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1001 to 1004. Do you recognize those, Ms. Lilly?
Yes.
Did you take those photographs yourself?
Yes.
Starting with State's Exhibit 1001, can you look at that photograph and tell me what that photograph is showing to us?
It's a full headshot of Aniya's face, showing the bruising under her left eye.
State's Exhibit 1002.
That is a picture to the right side of her face. It's showing just darkness under her right eye. I was just concerned, so I took that.
Okay, State's Exhibit 1003.
That's a closer up picture to the bruise under Aniya's left eye.
And that's the reason why you were called in.
Yeah.
All right, in State's Exhibit 1004.
Those were followed up, or those were old scarring to Aniya's left cheek and upper neck area that I just followed through with taking pictures on for documentation.
All right, and did you notice those with your naked eye, ma'am? All right, and as a basis for taking those photographs, did you share those photographs with somebody?
Yes,
Who did you share those photographs with?
my supervisor.
Okay, and why did you share them with your supervisor?
As for follow-up protocol in regards to the referral.
Okay, so you took photographs, you talked with some collateral folks, you talked with Grandpa. Did you actually meet with Grandpa?
No,
All right. Were you able to meet with Mr. Mr. Garrett?
no, I could not find him during the investigation.
All right, and now when you say that you were at Harbor Crest, with regards to the clothing, whose clothing did you notice in the bedroom?
Miss Days and Aniya's.
Okay, and did you meet with any other relatives or friends of Miss Days with regards to your investigation?
No,
All right. So after you have conducted now your investigation, what's the next process with regards to this particular call that was made to the agency? What do you do, ma'am?
we conducted the family assessment, which is an overall picture of any strengths, concerns that the family has. We had collateral information from all parties involved, including outside parties, and we closed the case.
Okay, and did you find it a need to put in any services in this particular case?
We referred Miss Day to the community collaborative.
All right, and tell me about that. What is the community collaborative?
It is a neighborhood resource, completely voluntary services. They have access to anything within their neighborhood, such as clothing banks, food banks, furniture banks, if needed, counseling resources, transportation resources, legal support, financial support.
And at the time, back in 2000, and I believe it was February 14th, 2017, was there anybody else involved with Miss Day? Was she dating anybody? Would that have been important to you?
That would have been important because that's someone else that would have been around Aniya at the time. But to my knowledge, no, Miss Day wasn't. She just recently separated with Mr. Garrett, and that's part of the questions that we ask is who resides in the home and who has access to Aniya.
Okay, and this family collaborative, why, excuse me, why did you think it was important to provide her that information?
We provide that information to all our families, just because a lot of our families are not aware of the services that can be offered within their communities.
And Ms. Lily, once you concluded your investigation and assessment in this case, did you have any other involvement with this case?
No, I did not.
And Ms. Lilly, you indicated to us that it would be important to you as a caseworker, just in general, to find out if the mother or the father, depending on the situation, was dating somebody.
Yes.
Why is that?
We always do criminal backgrounds on all adults in the home, along with any adults that have access to the child. We also do a sex offender registry list to make sure that there are no access to sex offenders.
Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Thompson, 1 minute.
You have been listening to the testimony of Chelsea Lilly. She's with the Cuyahoga County Department of Children and Family Services.
No questions,
social
Judge.
worker
You want to
No
on
questions.
this case.
Please step down. Thank you.
Defense
Next
is
witness,
not asking any
Your Honor, the
questions.
state is going to call Michael Garrett.
Up next, this is Aniya Day-Garrett's father, Michael Garrett's testimony. We have been waiting to hear for a long time. Michael Garrett has talked about how he tried to get custody of his daughter. A lot of people on Facebook have been waiting for his testimony, and it's interesting to see Sierra Day's reaction as he testified. Let's listen.
No. Raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear to testify to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and this you do as you so answer to God of the pains and penalty of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Make sure you speak into the microphone. You can adjust the microphone, the seat will not move.
Okay.
May inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr.
Good afternoon.
Please state your full name, spelling your first and your last name for the court reporter.
Yes. First name is Michael. Last name is Garrett. Last name is spelled Garrett.
And your first name, please.
Michael, Michael.
And Michael, what community do you reside in?
I live in East Cleveland, Ohio.
And sir, are you married?
No, I'm not.
Do you have a significant other?
Yes, I do.
And her name is?
Her name is Maya Kaban.
And do you have children?
Yes, we do.
How many children do you have, sir?
Oh, I have 2 biological and 2 stepchildren.
Okay. And did you also have a daughter by the name of Aniya Day-Garrett?
Yes, of course.
And Mr. Garrett, are you gainfully employed, sir?
Yes, I am.
And what do you do for a living?
Yes, I'm a parking enforcement officer. I work for the city of Cleveland.
How long have you so been employed?
I've been present there working for the past 8 months.
And prior to that, sir, where did you work?
Prior to that, I was a private security officer, and I did security for Tower City for a company called Securitas.
And prior to that, were you trained with regards to you obtaining your certificate as a peace officer?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Prior to working at Tower City, did you take the time to obtain some type of certificate with regards to you becoming a
Yes,
security officer?
yes.
When did you do that, sir?
I did that in the year of 2017.
All right. And where did you do that at?
Cuyahoga Community College. That's where I got my certificate for my Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy.
Okay. And prior to that, were you gainfully employed?
Yes,
And where did you work? What kind of various employments have you had since 2013 when Aniya was born?
I've always been working. I've had multiple jobs. There were times where I was working 2 jobs. In the beginning, in the first 2 years of Aniya's life, I was doing security throughout those years, primarily, and I always kept steady work history. Was constantly working.
And did you work at various employments with regards to clothing shops, managerial positions at clothing shops?
Yes, I was assistant manager also of City Trends clothing store.
And when did you meet Sierra Day?
We met approximately 2012 in the summer near her birthday. Yes.
Okay. And sir, where did you go to high school?
I graduated at Garfield Heights High School.
All right. And where did Sierra go to high school?
She was attending Shaw High School.
All right. So approximately how long did you date?
Approximately before that year,
All right. And during that time, where were you residing?
during that time, I was living with a friend at the time. In the very beginning, and then we moved on and got a place of our own.
All right. And when you were living with your friend, where was Sierra living?
She was living with her parents.
All right. And who are her parents?
Her mother's name is Natalie, and her father's name is Eddie.
All right. And to your knowledge or your interactions, does Sierra have brothers and sisters?
Yes,
All right. Who are the brothers and sisters, sir, that you are familiar with?
I'm familiar with Erica Johnson. I'm familiar with Eric. I'm familiar with Isaiah. She has a number of different sisters and brothers. I don't remember the rest.
And is it fair to say that she's got brothers and sisters that are older than her?
Yes,
Who is younger than her? Are there any siblings that are younger than her?
her and her brother were the youngest.
All right. And they are twins?
Yes,
All right. And that would be Isaiah.
correct.
All right. Now, during your dating relationship, there comes a point in time that she becomes pregnant,
Yes,
okay? And when is your daughter born?
our daughter was born September 2nd, 2013.
All right? And once she was born, was she given your name?
Yes,
Did you sign the birth certificate?
yes, of course.
And where did you bring Aniya back after being at the hospital?
Oh, at the time we went back to her parents' home at the time.
Okay. And how long did you guys stay at her parents' home before the two of you moved out?
was almost a year.
Right? And how would you describe your relationship within that year? Now you have a new baby. And so how is the new relationship starting on September 2nd, 2013 to, let's say, September of 2014 to Aniya's first birthday? Are you all living together?
I was in the household quite often. I was working a lot. So anytime I would get off work, I would, go over to her parents' house to check on Aniya and make sure everything was okay.
All right. And during this time, was your family involved with this child as well?
As much as possible. I really don't have much family that lives here in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, where does your family reside, sir?
Majority lives in Indianapolis, Indiana.
All right. And would there be occasions where you would take Aniya to visit with your family?
Yes.
Okay. And were you also financially supporting your daughter during this time?
Yes.
Okay. Was Aniya also receiving some type of benefits because she was just a little tight?
Yes.
Okay. Was Sierra working at the time?
Not at the time.
All right. Who was primarily responsible for Aniya's care during the first year of her life?
We both were.
Right? And so does there come a point in time that Sierra moves out of her parents' home?
Well, that didn't take place until we moved out together.
Okay, when was that?
And I was the primary, I was making the most money in the income.
Okay.
And that took place about a year after Aniya was born.
Okay, so let's just say, we'll stick with September of 2014.
Okay.
Where did you and Sierra move to with Aniya?
We have moved to an apartment building owned by K&D Euclid, near 260s in Euclid.
All right, do you know what the name of the apartment building was?
They changed the name, I do not remember.
Okay. Was it Harborcrest?
No, it wasn't Harborcrest.
Were you at the old Watergate or North Point?
No, not North Point either.
Okay. All right, so suffice it to say an apartment building?
Yes.
Was it a complex or was it a side-by-side?
Yes, it was a side-by-side, three stories high apartment building.
Okay. And who lived in the apartment with you at the time?
It was just me and her and Aniya.
Okay. And is the state in this courtroom here today, Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Could you tell us just where she's sitting in this?
Stipulate that you can identify.
Yes, to the left.
Thank
of the
you.
courtroom.
Thank you, counsel. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Garrett, so you moved into this apartment. Who is responsible for paying for the upkeep of the apartment?
I was primarily, because I was bringing in the most income in the home.
Was she working?
At the time, no, but then she started working later on that year.
Okay. And when you say she started working on later on that year, where was she working?
Get Ready, Set, Grow Daycare.
All right. And when she was working at Get Ready, Set, Grow Daycare, who was taking care of Aniya?
When she was working at the daycare, actually, Aniya was going to another daycare that was across the street from the daycare she worked at. But I was always there, picking Aniya up, drop her off to daycare, and I would pick her up after work.
Okay. And how long did that go on until you and Ms. Day decided to separate?
That probably went on about 6 months, 7 months.
All right. So during this time that you were living now in your own apartment, did your family members come and visit?
No. Well, yes, they did. They did come and visit. It's so sporadic, times we all come together. But yes, they did.
And what about Sierra's family? Would they come over and visit?
Every now and again.
And would you attend functions together? Birthday functions, dinner functions, like dinner on a Sunday afternoon?
Yes.
All right, and where would that take place?
Sometimes it take place at her family's house for the most part. Her dad liked to cook a lot, so we would go over there. And I love her great dad too, so I would take her over there. We spend time like that. We would spend time at my family's as well. We had family gatherings, have dinner, things like that.
All right, so when you say granddad, are we talking about Mr. Eddie Day?
Yes.
All right, and did Aniya at this time have some cousins?
Yes, she did.
All right, and who had children in Sierra Day's family other than you and Sierra?
Her sister Erica did.
And what did she have?
She had 2 baby girls.
And were they comparable ages to Aniya, or were they a little bit older?
Yes, they were very close in age.
All right, and would Aniya play with them?
Yes, she did.
All right, and so how did your relationship move along during this time?
Our relationship was okay at the time. In that very beginning of those first 1 year, year and a half of Aniya's life, it started getting a little rocky. After like that first year and a half, I just started seeing different signs. I just wasn't really comfortable, and I really just tried to make my family work, you know, and make for the safety of my daughter, you know, and being present in her life.
All right, so did there come a point in time that you and Sierra Day separated?
Yes, it did.
All right, and about when was that?
That was about, it was the winter time, I want to say of 2016,
Okay, and,
November to be exact.
all right, November of 2016. Where were you working at the time, sir?
At that time, I was working for Downtown Cleveland Alliance.
All right, were you also working for Constantino Market?
Yes, I was.
All right, and so when you decided to move out, what did Sierra and Aniya do? Did they stay at that apartment or did they move?
They weren't there no more than a couple months. They moved.
All right, and did they tell you where they moved?
Yes, I did later find out.
Where did she move to?
She had moved to Harbor Crest.
All right, and so with regards to your relationship at the time, how would you describe it? Was it still amicable or had it gotten a little bit more sour?
Definitely, I would say soured. I was just really doing whatever was best for Aniya. You know, I was over the whole relationship thing. It's just whatever's best for our daughter is what I'm here. I was there for.
Did she ask you to leave the apartment?
Yes.
And how did that go?
I don't really like confrontation, so it was getting bad. And before it got too bad, I removed myself and I packed all my bags and I left. It was I was finding my things in the garbage, and, you know, just finding signs of, you know, wanting me out.
Okay. So where did you move to at the time?
At the time, I moved with my aunt.
And where did your aunt live?
She lived in Euclid, Ohio.
All right. And at this point, did you have any method or mode of transportation?
Yes, I did.
All right. And how did you get around?
At the time, I had a car, type of car trouble. So it took about, I'd say, almost 6 months to a year before I actually got my car back. So I was taking public transportation on the bus, RTA.
All right. Now, you indicated to us that in January of 2016, she moved over to Harbor Crest. Did you help her move?
No.
Were you still communicating with her?
Yes.
Were you seeing Aniya?
From time to time. Yes.
All right, please tell me what you mean from time to time.
Well, I will always get Aniya as often as possible. I would go to work as early as 7 in the morning and get off at midnight. So for the most part, I would get Aniya on the weekends.
Okay, and when you got her on the weekends, where would you bring her?
I took her home with me to my aunt.
Okay, so how long did you stay at your aunt's house?
Stayed there almost a year, I want to say, before I got my own place again.
Okay, and during that time, about how often would you see Aniya?
At least every other week, almost every other week.
And did you know what daycare she was going to?
It got confusing. At the time, I did. She was going to the Harbor Crest Daycare.
And did you find yourself going to Harbor Crest to see her on occasion?
Yes.
And would the child care workers allow you to come in?
You said the child care workers or the daycare workers?
I'm sorry, the daycare workers.
Oh, different. Yes, they did.
All right, so the daycare workers would allow you in. Was your name on an emergency contact at the daycare?
Yes, it was.
All right, and so were there occasions where you would just go in and visit with her at the daycare?
Yes.
And how often would you do that?
Sometimes I would go before work, but I would do that at least 3-4 times a month.
All right, and during the times that you went there, did you notice anything about Aniya that caused you any concern or any moments of pause?
At that time, no.
Right? And were you still paying child support?
Yes, I was.
Were your wages being attached?
Yes, they were.
All right. Did you have any conversations with Sierra Day about having some type of a formal visitation schedule with her?
Yes, I did.
All right. And did you and her talk about that?
Yes, we did.
And were you able to come to any type of an agreement about that?
No, we did not.
All right. Can you tell me what you shared with her or what you would like to do with regards to seeing your daughter at that time?
Yes, at that time, I would let her know that I wanted to, be present in my daughter's life as much as possible, and at least every other weekend, I would like to get Aniya. And that agreement didn't stick at all. There were times where she would lie to me, say she was out of town or something like that. So, and then when I tried to go and fight to the courts and get an emergency custody hearing, that's when I received papers about a restraining order.
All right, well, we'll talk about that. Before we even get to the restraining order, does there come a point in time in September of 2017 that Aniya comes to your home?
Yes.
All right. Now, in September of 2017, where are you living?
September 2017, I was still living in East Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. Who were you living with?
Me and my fiance, Mike's wife.
Okay. And does she have children?
Yes, she does.
How many children does she have?
2 boys.
How old are the boys?
Jameer is 5 and Jeremiah is 9.
All right. Were they living in the home with you?
Yes, they were.
And did Maya have possession, care, and custody of those 2 boys?
Yes, she does.
All right. And so during that time, do you also, is this a single family home or an apartment?
This is a 2-family. Upstairs and down.
A duplex?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. And did you have a room for Aniya?
Yes.
Okay,
I had some.
she had her own room.
Yes.
So in September of 2017, does she come over to your house to visit with you?
Yes, she does.
How does she get there?
I went and picked her up from her mother's home.
Okay, and where was she living in September of 2017?
She was still living in Harborcrest.
All right, and at this point in time, were you made aware that Sierra was dating somebody,
No, I was not.
right? And so when you go and pick her up, tell me the circumstances of that.
When I went and picked Aniya up, sometimes it was a little more challenging than others. There were times Sierra would give me, bring my daughter to me and with nothing. I mean, no toothbrush, no underwear, anything. I would make sure she has what she needs always. Just kept the confrontation down and just come for Aniya. So I would get Aniya and go on with my life, with my family.
All right, so in September now of 2017, do you get Aniya?
Yes, I did.
All right, and when you got Aniya, what were your observations of this child on that particular day?
When I got Aniya, I had to work later on that evening. And while I was at work, before I went to work, we had a great time. Went out to lunch, had a lot of fun. Later on that evening, while working, I got a call from my fiance, Mai, was stating that she had noticed. Yes.
You can't say what she noticed or what she said to you,
Okay.
but as a result of your conversation with Maya that she called you at work,
Mhm.
what did you do?
I told my job that I needed to leave.
And about what time in the evening did you receive that phone call, sir?
Approximately almost 9 p.m.
All right, so did you leave your employment?
No, I had to stay the shift. I had to stay my full shift. I got off at 11 o'clock that day,
Okay,
11 p.m.
all right, so when you get off at 11 o'clock, what do?
As soon as I got home, Aniya would always run right into my arms. So I held my baby and I just gave her all the love I could give her. I didn't want her to really know, what was going on.
All right,
So I examined her body.
all right, and as you were examining her body, what did you visibly
Yes.
observe?
I visibly observed a bruise in my daughter's chest area and her lower back.
All right, did you talk to her about that?
My daughter?
Yes,
Yes, I did.
okay. Did you ask her how that came to be?
Yes, I did.
And was she able to provide you some information?
Yes, she did. She seemed a little confused, as if she didn't really know what to say. And switched,
Overruled, go ahead.
Go ahead.
and would say that mommy pushed me up the stairs. And she would also say, I would ask her, who hit you? And she would shove her shoulders real quietly. And I tell her, you can talk to me. Tell me anything. You can talk to me. And it was just real tough. It's like she wanted to speak out and say something, but it's almost like she was told to be quiet and not say anything.
Overruled.
All right, so based on your observations and based on, now, did you look at her from head to toe?
Yes, it did.
All right, other than the bruises and the marks that you've already testified to, do you notice anything else on this child's body?
The fact that her tooth was loose and it was starting to rot, and I was very concerned about that. And I had been asking, when's Aniya's dentist appointment? Had she been to the dentist and things like that? But mom would never follow up with me with anything.
All right, so as a result of those observations and you talking to your daughter, sir, what do you do?
At that time, We called the police immediately that night and filed a police report with East Cleveland Police.
Did you also cause to take some photographs of Aniya?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And who took those photographs?
I did.
May I approach your honor?
Nay.
Mr. Garrett, handing you what's been marked State's Exhibit 701 to 705. I'd like you just to take a moment and look at those photographs.
Okay.
You recognize those photographs?
Yes, I do.
Do those photographs fairly and accurately represent photographs that you took on that September day in 2017
Yes, it
of your
is.
daughter, Aniya?
Yes.
Starting with State's Exhibit 701, what are these photographs depicting for us?
Okay, so these photos here shows the bruises on Aniya's chest area. She also has like a scab sore mark there. I'm not sure about the neck area. It looks a little dark, but I wasn't sure. I was a little more concerned about her chest and her back because I did notice that those were bruises for sure.
All right, State's Exhibit 702. What is State's Exhibit 702 showing us?
State Exhibit 702 shows us the lower part of Aniya's back. Her lower back side shows a large bruised area there. Looked like it could have been a hand mark or something.
You just noticed that these were bruises on her body.
Yes.
All right, State's Exhibit 703.
State Exhibit 703, same as Exhibit 702, lower back area bruises.
704.
704, State Exhibit, Aniya's left tooth area, rotten and loose tooth.
All right, and 705.
I think 705 is just a beautiful picture of me and my children happy. I think Aniya was fine here.
All right, that's the end of that correction.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, you document these photographs. Obviously, you think it's serious. So you call the police department. Do you actually go to the police department, sir?
No, they actually came to us.
Okay. And when they come to you, do you make a report?
Yes, we did.
All right. And as part of that report, who do you allege as being the perpetrator of these injuries?
Her mom, Aniya's mom,
And that would be,
Sierra Bay.
okay. And you provide all that information to the police officer.
Yes, I did.
Do you also provide these photographs to the police officer?
Yes, I did.
All right, and so how long then do you keep her that weekend?
Kept the night as long as we could. I believe, I want to say it was probably a Sunday. Then we took her back home. Try to keep her for the weekends.
Okay, and so you notice these injuries on her. So when you took her back, did you have a conversation with Sierra Day?
Yes, I did.
And what did you say to her, Mr. Garrett?
Well, while trying to talk to her, she wasn't trying to talk to me at all. Wasn't trying to speak back. She didn't talk back.
All right, did
Tell me anything.
you ask her what the hell's going on?
Yes, of course I did. Even contacted her ahead of time when I first noticed the bruises, and she stated to me that her brother had hit her or something like that on her behind.
Okay, and so she provided you an explanation.
Mhm.
Based on her providing you an explanation, sir, what did you do next, or what happened next?
I told her that I was very unhappy that Aniya has these bruises on her, that I was not made aware. And that our daughter's safety is most important, more important than anything. I would always let her know that I want to know what's going on in Aniya's life always.
And was she able to provide you an answer to that?
No, she did not.
All right. What else did you say to her during that contact?
During that contact, I stated that I was going to do whatever it took to figure out what exactly is going on in the household, because it's very unlikely to see these bruises on my daughter. And this has never happened until this day. And once I found out, I told her, it's got to stop, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure this don't happen to Aniya again.
All right, and so in your efforts to try to prevent this from happening again, sir, what do you do now? You turn to the courts.
Yes, I did. I turned to the courts. I filed a motion to go and try to get custody of Aniya.
All right, and was there some paperwork that was filed against you?
Yes.
Did you come to learn that there was a temporary protection order that was filed against you?
Yes, I did.
How did you come to find that out, sir?
I came to find that out after approximately September 27th of 2017, which was around the last time we had seen Aniya. Mom had stated, I was trying to, like I said, always get Aniya at least every other weekend. But Mom started sending me text messages when I was trying to get her and say that she was out of town. And her being out of town probably lasted about a month and a half before I actually went up to Miss Day's daycare, Get Ready, Set, Grow. And I noticed that Sierra was working. So when I noticed that she was working, I did not see Aniya present. Aniya was attending Get Ready, Set, Grow daycare at that time.
And when was that, sir? What was the date of that, if you recall?
The end of September 2017.
After you made your police report.
Correct.
Okay, so now you go to Get Ready, Set, Grow. What happens when you go there?
Okay, so I'm sorry. So about a month later, after that end of September, I was trying to see Aniya, and it had been a while. And Mom, like I said, was saying that she was out of town. They were out of town. I noticed that she was at the daycare, and that's when I actually started taking more action and getting custody of Aniya. And I hired an attorney at the time. And I also, 2 days later, after recognizing Sierra was actually here in town, I received papers from the courts saying that I have a restraining order against me for my daughter.
I approach her.
You may.
Nine oh three to 9:07. Mr. Garrett, handing you what's been previously marked and shown to defense. States Exhibit 903 to 907. I'd like you just to take a moment to review each one of those documents. All right, Mr. Garrett, let's start with States Exhibit 903. Can you tell me what that document is? And did you receive that document?
Yes, this is a Division of Domestic Relations. I did receive this paperwork also.
What is that?
It's a petitioner statement from Ms. Day, restraining order.
All right, so she filed a restraining order against you.
Yes, she did.
And what was the date of that restraining order, sir?
October 30th, 2017.
All right, and that is after you had gone to the police department about the injuries that you had
Exactly.
seen on Aniya.
Yes.
All right, States Exhibit 904. What is that document?
State Exhibit 904. Court of Common Pleas. It's a motion that I started for custody.
All right, and was that filed, sir, on your behalf?
Yes, it was.
All right, and before we go any further, going back to States Exhibit number 903, the protection order, what was she alleging that you had done, sir?
Oh, wow. She was stating that I would, I guess, harass her and stalk her and my daughter. She stated that I would come up to her job and threaten her and threaten my daughter. None of it was true. A lot of it was scribbled out. She messed up on a lot of her words, so it's kind of hard to read.
All right, and so at any point in time, sir, did you go to get ready, set, grow, and cause any scene with regards to Sierra Day?
Not after the one time when I went there.
All right, and any time after that one time, did you go back
Never,
and do
no.
anything to cause any harm
to Sierra Day and/or your daughter Aniya Day?
Absolutely not.
All right, so you get this temporary restraining order, then you start filing your own motions.
Yes.
All right, moving on to State's Exhibit 905. What is that document?
905, the magistrate, it looks like he had granted my court order, and we had a hearing set for 124, and Ms. Day did not show up for it.
Okay, and during this time now, we have September, October, November, and December of 2017. After September 26th, when you took the photographs of that child, did you physically see her again?
No, I did not.
All right. Did you try to see her?
Yes, of course.
Did you call Miss Day, and tell her you wanted to see your daughter?
Not after they put this restraining order against me,
Okay,
but beforehand, yes.
all right. And the holidays came and went. You had Halloween, you had Thanksgiving. Did you see her on Halloween?
Halloween? No, I did not.
Did you see her at Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving? No, I didn't.
All right. And Christmas?
No.
All right. During this time, did you have contact with any of her family members?
One of her siblings, her sister.
Okay. Now, before we talk about that, let's finish up with our documents there. State's Exhibit 906. What is State's Exhibit 906?
State Exhibit 906, Court of Common Pleas, Division of Domestic Relations. It looks like there was a continuance for our motion, which was set for March 15th, 2018.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 907.
Yes, this looks like a, this is from the domestic relations. So this is something Ms. Day had filed here. I don't really recall getting a copy of this here. Well, yes, I think I did.
Okay. All right. So that was all documentation that related to either the protection order that was filed against you and/or your filing of trying to get some more custody rights of your daughter, Aniya.
Yes.
All right. Now, in December of 2017, did you have contact with Miss Day's family members?
I'm sorry, what was that time frame again?
December 2017.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Who did you have contact with?
Erica Johnson.
All right. Did you call her or did she call you?
We called each other.
Okay. And did you have a conversation with Erica Johnson?
Yes, I did.
All right. Without telling us what Ms. Johnson said to you,
Mhm.
what did you do as a result of your conversation with Ms. Johnson?
Oh, wow. Most of the times we would talk, I was at work, and I would contact my attorney, because I had an attorney at the time, and we were just trying to just speed this process up so we could get Aniya. You know, it had almost been 7 months since I had last seen Aniya, so we was just really trying to, you know, it's all on the court's time, so when they got these dates set, you know, just kind of gotta go by these dates that they have in place.
And during this time, did you see Aniya?
No.
Had Erica seen Aniya?
No, she hadn't.
And would you and Erica commiserate about your concerns?
Yes.
And during this time, did you talk to any other family member, or did any other family member on the day side contact you?
No.
And during this time, did you come to learn that Sierra Day was dating Deonte Lewis?
No.
When did you first learn that Sierra Day was dating Deonte Lewis?
The very first time we had a court hearing, after my daughter's life was lost.
All right. And prior to that, you did not know that she was dating him?
Never.
Did you, sir, contact in September of 2017, after you contacted the police, did you also contact, or did the police contact Children and Family Services?
I did contact Children and Family Services myself. I'm not sure if the police did.
Okay. And in addition to contacting Children and Family Services, did you yourself take it upon yourself to contact the daycare and check on your daughter?
Yes, I did.
And who did you speak with, sir?
I spoke to a lady by the name of Chantel.
Okay. And without telling us what she said to you, what kinds of questions were you asking of Chantel?
When was the last time Aniya had been in daycare? I wanted to know, it was Aniya safe? Was she okay? Was she healthy? When the last time she had seen Aniya, she had stated.
Can't say what she said to you.
Exactly.
It's okay. But did there come a point in time that you learned that no one had seen Aniya?
Objection.
Yes.
And did that cause you more concern?
Yes, it did.
And Mr. Gary, how did you come to learn your daughter's death?
I got a call on March 11th from Erica Johnson.
And without telling me what Erica said to you, sir, what did you do and where did you go?
I was home with my fiance, and I think I lost it. I lost it. My mind just could not bear to think about something like that, not in a billion years. My life, just everything just turned, I believe we went down to the detective office following that and spoke about to them about Aniya.
Okay, so you went to the Euclid Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. And were you able to provide them some information that you've provided here to us today?
Yes.
Now, you indicated to us that you went to the daycare. You already said Grove to see Sierra and Aniya.
Mhm.
After you returned Aniya, after the September 2017, when you took photographs, right?
Yes.
At any point in time, did you and Sierra have a physical altercation in front of anybody?
No.
Did you cause any type of scene?
No.
Did you see your daughter that day?
I did not.
When you were at Get Ready, Set, Grow,
Mhm.
did you talk to any of the workers?
No, I didn't that day. I didn't see anybody. When I walked in, it was dark inside. Actually, I did. I did see a worker. It was a new lady. I've never met her before. When she showed me the room that Ms. Day was working in, and that's when I politely went to that door. And of all peace. And I asked her, where's Aniya? I want to see my baby.
And do you remember, sir, the day you went there? Remember where, after the September incident at your home, where you called the police, but before December, did you go before Christmas or after Christmas?
It was before Christmas.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And do you remember what day of the week you went?
I went between Wednesday and Friday.
Okay,
Mhm.
and you did not see your daughter in class.
No, I didn't.
Was she even in the building?
I'm not sure.
One moment, Your Honor.
Right.
Now, Mr. Garrett,
Yes.
at any point in time during your court proceedings, did you come to learn that Sierra Day had moved to Cultural Gardens?
No,
Did you know at all that she was even living there?
I didn't.
Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Cross examine,
No questions for this witness, Judge.
Ms. Longino.
Yeah, Mr. Garrett, when you went to the daycare and spoke with Ms. Chantel, did you ever come to learn when was the last time Aniya had been at that daycare?
No, I didn't. I didn't never find out.
Okay. And had you seen Aniya between the months of June 2017 up until September 2017 when you saw her and saw these bruises on her?
Yes, I did see my baby in between there, but we didn't recognize the bruises until September.
Okay, so from June to September, you saw no bruises up until September?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Garrett, when Ms. Longino asked you about that, September of 2017, and in fact, September 26th of 2017,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
And Sierra was living in Harbor Crest
Yes, she was.
with your daughter,
Yes.
and you don't know who else she may or may not have been dating at the time.
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any follow-up? No. You may step down. Thank you very much. Why don't we take a 5-minute recess, ladies and gentlemen? Please do not discuss the case. All right.
So this is Dan DeRosa with Cleveland 19 News. Interesting testimony from the father, the biological father of Aniya Day-Garrett. That was Michael Garrett that took the stand. Really what the prosecution was trying to lay out there, it wasn't as emotional, I think, as everyone thought that was going to be. It appears that what the prosecutor was trying to point out is that huge gap in time in which not even Aniya Day's father knew where she was or was being given access. We find out that at one point, the reason he wasn't able to get to her was because the mother had filed a restraining order in this case. We're seeing the defendants being led out of the courtroom there. Michael Garrett is still on the stand. Looks like they'll wait for, they don't want there to be any contact between Michael and Sierra Day. So as soon as everyone is out of the courtroom, here we go. He's being led out of the courtroom. So as we wait on this recess, it's going to be just a very short recess, just about 5 minutes. We can discuss that information that went in, the prosecutor's examination and questioning really came down to the interesting fact that Michael tried to see his daughter but that there was a course of 7 months. It would have been the last 7 months of Aniya Day-Garrett's life that he was unable to find her. He went to the daycare where Aniya's mother was working. That's not the same daycare that Aniya was attending. We know that to be a different daycare, but he demanded to see his daughter. When he wasn't being given access, that's when he tried to file paperwork after he saw the bruising in the September. So that's September of 2017. She passed away in March of 2018. We're going to go over to Nicole Versansky, who's taking some of our, watching your comments come in on our Facebook feed. Nicole, what are people saying as we watch that? We really expected that to be a lot more emotional, and the father did struggle and tried to keep it together. He did a great job considering the circumstances. What are people saying?
So the father, Jennifer Charlton, says, I can't even imagine the pain he must be going through. Natasha Groh, that man is amazing. I wouldn't be able to do what he just did. Sarah Elizabeth Smith, he did amazing. You defended Aniya and you stood up for your baby. The system failed him. Bad, they played too many games. And a lot of people really were interested, Dan, in seeing Sierra Day's reaction to his testimony. They wanted to see that split screen, but she kind of tucked herself behind some of the attorneys, so you couldn't get a clear shot of her. But I think because of her reaction throughout this entire trial so far, with, you know, shaking her head and just kind of appearing disinterested, a lot of people just wanted to see her reaction as he testified. And you couldn't quite get that shot that I think a lot of people wanted to see, just to see that. Many comments came in during his testimony. They felt that Sierra was being manipulative with that restraining order that she filed. I saw a lot of those kind of comments coming in. Off the top, there were a lot of questions wondering about why they were asking about his job history, about his background. And I think, you know, slowly but surely, they're just building a case. They're trying to show the jury that, you know, this is a man who has an education, who has a job, who clearly had the means to take care of his daughter and was a smart man. And then obviously, as you saw more and more of his story come out, that he truly was trying to go the smart route and do what he thought he needed to do to take care of his daughter.
And I think you're exactly right. People were very critical. Oh, why are they asking what high school he went to? They didn't ask anybody else that. They were clearly showing that this was a committed father. They asked him, were you paying child support that entire time? Police. And it was at that point, in a lot of cases, you don't hear when a family gets separated like that. He was paying child support. At one time, he had multiple jobs. He had 2 jobs. Really showing that he was a responsible parent. They're trying to give credibility to what he is saying, that he noticed the bruisings in September of 2017. That's when he contacted police. And it was at that point that he started and he got his own attorney. You said it exactly right. He tried to do it the right way to get an attorney. He didn't just keep going to the daycare, causing a scene. We heard that asked several times. Did you ever show up to the Ready, Set, Grow daycare and cause a scene? And his answer was no.
No. But he did say, I mean, but he was also handcuffed in so many ways because he had that restraining order. So of course, you know, he was trying to go the route that he felt he needed to go if he couldn't contact
that
the
he
mother.
Started and he got his own attorney. You said it exactly right.
You know,
he tried
to
to
do this dance that he felt like he needed to do
do
because
it.
she did have this restraining order on him. And that he's saying one of the last times he saw his daughter. Seems like, you know, this is a guy who was really trying to do the right things to try and get his daughter. Taking pictures we saw of her and, you know, her tooth and bruising on her back and calling police and talking to the mother, so he said, and said, you know, what happened? This shouldn't happen again. And that he's saying one of the last times he saw his daughter.
Yeah, and you might be questioning, why didn't we hear more? You have to understand how a courtroom works and the term hearsay. So if the father is taking a phone call from, like we heard, Sierra's sister on the Day side of the family, he wasn't able to go into what that conversation was because that becomes hearsay. They can't corroborate that what he's hearing on the phone, what he's saying, oh, here's what she said. And as far as the phone call that he found out that Sierra or that Aniya Day-Garrett had passed away, again, he can't get into what that phone call was, but we heard him say that he couldn't believe it, that not in a billion years could he ever imagine that this could happen to his daughter. We are in just a short recess. It should be over here any minute. Nicole, we're going to come back over to you. As people watch this, it really is amazing how much support there is for Michael, how much support there is for Aniya. Everybody is using, not that this is turning into a hashtag, but J4A, Justice for Aniya. We keep seeing that.
That's what we keep seeing. J4A. I wrote that down too, Dan. Justice for Aniya. So many people saying their heart just goes out to the father, the incredible strength that he had on the stand. You did see, there were a couple times that you saw him, whether it was anger or emotion, the pictures in particular, him getting emotional, looking at the pictures that he took of Aniya when he saw signs of abuse. And then that picture, he said, "This is our family." He smiled. "This is our family. We were all happy and we were together." And you saw him get emotional there, but he continued on. And I almost saw a couple, he was talking about, the boyfriend, and he didn't know that she had a boyfriend, and almost, like you saw some sort of built up just emotion there, but more often than not, people saying they're praying for him to be strong, that they couldn't do what he was doing, and that their heart go out to him. And a lot of people saying that Aniya looked like her dad. I saw a lot of comments like that, and a lot of people commenting on, his pink suit coat for his baby girl, those kinds of comments, but absolutely supporting Michael Garrett.
And what that shows, and you see on your screen now, this is the mother and the boyfriend. That is Deonte Lewis on the left side of your screen, and Sierra Day in the center of the screen. I think what they were trying to point out, as far as did you know about the boyfriend, Deonte Lewis, when his answer kept saying, "No, I had no idea that she had a new boyfriend," that too sort of sets up that this isn't jealousy from a father, that this isn't, hey, she had a new boyfriend, so I wanted the daughter back. I wanted the boyfriend out of his life, or out of her life. So that really sets up that the fact that he didn't know anything about that, he couldn't, that the prosecution or the defense can't say, "Oh, well, he was jealous. There was a new boyfriend."
Absolutely. And a lot of people actually comment on that, saying, like, you can't say that he was jealous then if he didn't know. A lot of people saying, commenting that, they just need to be locked up. The trial should be over. Obviously, that's not the way things go. But, he did do an incredible job testifying today. I mean, it seemed like he did everything that he could. He was doing everything right. He was following the book to try and help his baby girl.
Again, we're in recess, which should be wrapping up. This was just supposed to be a 5-minute recess. I've got a live picture that I'm looking at. The judge has asked us not to show the courtroom while they are in recess on break, whether it's lunch or a break like this. So we're going to obviously abide by that. I can see into the courtroom, though, and none of the parties are back in, so we don't want you to think you're missing anything. The defendants are not back in the courtroom. The judge is not back in the courtroom yet.
Do you want to backtrack a little to the caseworker from earlier today? Because there were a lot of comments about Chelsea Lilly, who is the social worker on this case.
Now, we've got to be very clear. When she was the caseworker was one of the first times that there was alleged abuse. That was a black eye. That was a year before her death. So a lot of people kept saying, she's lying, because she said there is food in the house, and we heard from detectives that there isn't. Got to be very clear.
True.
This is a year before her death.
True.
The testimony that we heard that there were no clothes, no toys, no food, that was from the day she was found unresponsive.
And that is what the social worker said, that there was a lot of food, their utilities were working, there was clothing, there was a bed for her, quote, all the basic needs were being met. However, I think the problem that a lot of people had was that she only spoke to the mother face to face. She only spoke to Sierra Day, and Aniya was not present at the time. She only spoke to Sierra Day face to face. There was a comment about the grandfather. The grandfather had watched Aniya, and apparently that's when Aniya got hurt. She ran into a table. And the social worker said, well, the grandfather said, yes, that's the story. That's what happened.
She talked to the grandfather on the phone.
But she did not speak to him face to face. And a lot of people had a problem. How do you even know it was the grandfather on the phone? How do you know it wasn't someone else? So I think a lot of people had problems, at least in the comments on Facebook, that you only spoke face to face with just Sierra Day.
And that's partially what we've heard already, that the Department of Children and Family Services, from Channel 19 putting pressure, and really I'm sure pressure from around the state, when they made changes, when they hired 12 additional social workers. That may have been part of the problem. They may have looked at that case review and said, well, why did you never spend the time to go talk face to face to the grandfather? Her excuse may have been, because I'm overwhelmed. And we heard that is part of the problem with the Department of Children and Family Services, is that they are overloaded, that their caseworkers are overloaded. That's why they hired 12 additional workers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she said she didn't meet with anyone else besides Sierra Day. She said she spoke with other daycare workers. She spoke to the grandfather, Eddie Day, but again, just on the phone. She said she looked at the police reports, previous police reports. So, there was that there. If there were previous police reports, she said, her cousin Sierra had said her cousins were rough playing with her. That was another excuse that we had heard, as far as speaking to Sierra. When the social worker spoke with Sierra, when she was originally called to the daycare, she met with the daycare person who reported this. She met with with Aniya, and she did observe Aniya having a bruised eye. And she said that Aniya said that her mommy did this and then her daddy did this. So it was conflicting reports. And at that point, she said she called Michael Garrett and she called Sierra Day. It was funny to me, Dan, tell me your thoughts on this, that she said Sierra Day had no contact information for Michael Garrett other than on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, this is the biological father. He's listed as an emergency contact at the daycare,
right?
The previous daycare, but yet that she
there was no contact information, just on Facebook. That seemed odd to me, that there wouldn't be a way of trying to get a hold of Michael Garrett.
And so let's, so that it's very clear, I'm going to walk through some of the paperwork that was filed. So it's September 2017. This is now roughly 6-8 months before Aniya is found unresponsive. That's the first time he sees the bruising on Aniya's chest and on her back. And that's when he takes pictures and calls police. It is October 30th. So he starts the paperwork. He calls police. We start to see a pattern. Anytime somebody makes a report, Sierra would then do whatever she could to make sure those people no longer had access. So she files a restraining order. Earlier, when it was the daycare and it was the daycare that called police, she pulls Aniya out of the daycare. So anybody that got close and anybody who made reports, that's when she would pull out access to the child. We're looking live inside the courtroom. There you see the boyfriend, Deonte Lewis. He is back. I can't see quite yet if Aniya is back in court. I believe it is. Her attorney appears to be speaking to her. Yes, she is. We can look at our other angle. She is in court. Just waiting for the judge and the jury to get back in the room. But we're starting to see this pattern, and I think that's what we saw a lot of. And people are probably questioning why they keep talking about the documents. Why do they keep asking about the documents? They're trying to set up this pattern that anytime anyone tried to get close or make reports, she would cut them out of her life or just no longer allow access. Let's get back to the trial.
Make sure you speak into the microphone. You can adjust the microphone and the EFC will not move.
Okay.
Thank you. Inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, officer. Good afternoon. Can you state your full name and spell your last name for the court reporter?
Corey McFadden, MC, FA, ED, PM.
And are you employed, sir?
I am
Where are you employed?
with the City of Cleveland, Cleveland Division of Police,
And in what capacity?
patrol officer,
How long have you been a patrol officer with the Cleveland Police Department?
2.5 years.
Prior to joining the Cleveland Police Department, do you have any law enforcement experience?
I do not.
Did you receive any training and certifications in order to become a police officer?
I did.
And can you explain that to the jury?
I have a degree in law enforcement, and I attended police academy with Ohio State Highway Patrol.
And when was that, sir?
2016 through 17.
So were you working on September 1st of 2017?
I was,
And were you working with a partner on that night?
yes,
What's your partner's name?
David Fox.
And did you respond to a call at 3322 West 73rd Street in Cleveland, Ohio on that date?
Yes, we did.
And do you know what the nature of that call was?
For a child potentially being abused.
And do you recall what time you got to this home on September 1st of 2017?
Early afternoon, I don't recall the exact time.
And when you get to the home, who do you speak with?
The father, Michael Garrett.
So you spoke with Michael Garrett. Was anyone else present?
His daughter was,
Do you know what his daughter's name was?
yes, Aniya Garrett,
And do you recall how old she was at the time?
3 years old.
Was anyone else at the home that you recall?
I don't know if anyone else.
Did you see the child and Michael Garrett interact with one another?
Yes, I did.
And can you describe their interactions?
I would expect a small girl to be with her father. She's very timid and shy around us. She wasn't afraid or anything, just stood by his side.
She sat by his side.
Stood by his side. They're standing outside.
And did you have a conversation with Michael Garrett?
We did.
And based on that conversation, what did you do?
We contacted 696 Kids to follow up to see if the child was having a safe life and being well taken care of.
So why did you call 696 Kids?
The father found bruising. He showed us on her cheek, and he said on her chest. At the time, we couldn't really tell what they were from. They were very minor, and it looked like it couldn't hold. We couldn't tell like she was really being abused or she fell. So he contacted 696 Kids to follow up with it.
Did you personally observe the child?
Only on her cheek. We didn't take her shirt off or anything like that.
What specifically did you see on her cheek?
Like a fading small bruise.
You said you never looked at her body, her bare body?
No.
Did you see any markings on her neck?
No.
And after you do this, this is when you call 696 Kids.
Yes.
Have one moment, Your Honor.
Hey,
No further questions, Your Honor.
us,
No questions of the judge.
No question, Your Honor.
thank you. Have a good day. Next witness.
The state calls Tawana James, Your Honor.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear you'll testify to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and this you do as you sign on to God with the pains and penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Good afternoon, please proceed. Make sure you speak correctly into the microphone. You can adjust the microphone to see it will not move. You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. James. Good afternoon. Please state your full name and spell your last name for the court reporter.
Tawana, James, James.
And ma'am, by whom are you employed?
Children and Family Services,
How long have you so been gainfully employed by them?
6 years.
And what kind of training and experience have you obtained in order for you to maintain your position with the Department of Children and Family Services?
Well, first we have 3 months of training with the agency, and we have ongoing training every year. I have a master's degree in criminal justice administration.
All right, and when were you first hired by Children and Family Services?
2012.
All right, and in 2012, did you have the ordinary training that they provide to their social workers?
Yes.
And what label or what title were you hired as?
Social worker 3.
Okay, and with regards to your title and when you're hired, just tell me, did you have all the proper training that the agency provides to you?
Yes.
Did you go through the 8 modules of investigating a case?
Yes.
And did you then go to the transitional unit?
Transitional unit didn't exist.
Okay, tell me what existed when you started. Did the 8 models exist?
Yes.
Okay, and just briefly, can you go through, what are those 8 models?
I can't remember that off the top of my head.
Suffice it to say, is there like a protocol or a checklist that you go through from the time a referral is made to the time a case is either closed or it's set off into ongoing services?
Right.
Okay, so you've been trained in all those things?
Yes.
Okay, and so with regards to when you got hired, once you finished your basic training, where did you go then? Or how did you obtain your cases?
When I first started, I was in the START unit in ongoing services. START stands for Sobriety, Treatment, and Recovery Team.
Okay,
So I stayed there for the first 4 years.
all right, and then after, now this team, did you work along with social workers, or did you get your own cases wherein folks had some type of sobriety issues?
No, when I first started, I personally shadowed what other people work with me, but I didn't get cases right on top.
I'm sorry?
I didn't get cases as soon as I started. I worked with other workers.
Okay, so you worked right along, shadowing, if you will?
Right.
Okay, how long did you do that?
I don't recall, a couple weeks I did that, then I started receiving my own cases.
I'm sorry?
I believe I did that for a few weeks, and then I started to receive my own cases.
All right, once you received your own cases, were you gainfully employed by Children and Family Services back on May of 2017?
Yes.
And what department were you working in at the time?
I was a short-term services kid.
All right, explain to us, what is short-term services?
Short-term services is when we get a case and we investigate the allegations on the case.
All right, were you so gainfully employed by the Department of Children and Family Services back on May of 2017? Aniya Day-Garrett.
Yes.
All right, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, how did you first become involved in the case and what did you initially do?
Well, I was already in the field working on another case and I received a call from my supervisor regarding the emergency. When we receive an emergency, we have to act immediately and go out.
Okay, when you say emergency, back in 2017, were there priority calls?
Yes.
How many priorities did you have, and can you define them for me?
How many priorities I have?
Is it priority?
Levels.
The levels. Priority 1, priority 2, priority 3.
Oh yeah, we had emergency, traditional, and AR.
Okay, so what does an emergency mean?
Emergency means I have to go out right now. Well, I have an hour to get there to investigate the allegations.
All right, what's the next level?
Traditional, I have 24 hours to get out there.
All right,
And AR is 3 days, but you still need to make each, for traditional and AR, you need to at least make a phone call to schedule an appointment. If not, just go out.
what does AR stand for?
I don't remember.
Okay, all right, just take a deep breath. Okay, so this was an emergency. So where were you on the field and where did you have to go?
I don't remember exactly where I was, but I remember I had to go to Euclid Hospital.
All right, and did you go to Euclid Hospital?
Yes.
What happened when you went to Euclid Hospital?
When I went to Euclid Hospital, I spoke with an officer. I don't recall his name. He gave me a little update on what was going on. Then he gave me past reports from the daycare. And then after I spoke to him, I went to the room where Aniya was, Aniya and the daycare teacher. And there
Okay,
was a nurse in there too.
all right. Initially, Miss James, what were your observations of Aniya?
Well, initially she had a mark on her nose, like a scrape, it was a scab. Then I was shown the scrape mark she had in her head.
All right, and did you also see the blood in your ear?
Yes.
All right, and so based on that information and your observations, what did you do?
Well, I don't remember who I talked to first, but I know I questioned the nurse, the daycare teacher, and Aniya.
Okay, did you do it all at one time or did you do it separately?
We were all in the same room, but I asked each one individually questions.
Okay, and with regards to the daycare worker, was she able to provide you some information?
A little here.
Right? With regards to the nurse, was she able to provide you information?
Yes.
With regards to Aniya, did you speak to her directly?
Yes.
And what kind of information were you trying to obtain from Aniya?
What happened to her? I needed to know what happened to her.
Right? Was Aniya able to tell you what happened to her?
At first she wouldn't. She was like very timid. She wouldn't talk to me, so I got her some candy.
Okay, did you give her some candy?
The daycare worker actually had some fruit snacks or something.
And did they give her some fruit snacks?
Yes.
All right, and were you able then to talk to her?
Yes.
Did she tell you what had happened to her?
I did. I asked her where did she get her boo-boo from, and she said, Mommy did.
Okay, and so as a result of your conversation with Aniya, what do you do next?
I believe I talked to the nurse. And I asked the nurse, could she tell me what this mark could be, the scratch or whatever it could be? And did she see this as abuse?
All right, and is that typical of social workers to talk to the medical professionals with regards to what they see, what they observe?
Yes.
All right, and based on the information that you received from those three folks, do you also have a responsibility to talk to the mother and father of the child?
Yes.
All right, did you do that in this case, Aaron?
I talked to Mom. I was told Dad was going around.
Okay, and so with regards to Mom, where did you meet with Mom?
I met with her in the waiting room. She wasn't in the same room with me.
Okay, did you meet with her?
Yes.
Did you introduce yourself?
Yes.
Did you tell her why you were there?
Yes.
All right, and at the time that you talked to Mom, do you have those other reports of situations at the daycare?
I don't know if I had them first before I talked to her or after I talked to her. I'm not really sure. I can't remember the timeline.
Okay, all right, so when you talk to mom, what is your purpose in talking to mom?
To find out what happened.
All right, did you talk to her?
Yes,
All right, and what kinds of questions did you ask her, and what kind of information did you derive?
I basically asked a question to as to what happens to Aniya, whether she received marks. Was she aware that Aniya had any marks? And like where was that? I went over those questions.
Okay, did she provide you some answers?
Well, as far as the marks, she said she didn't have any marks that morning. She doesn't know where they came from. She said that Aniya was with someone else last night. Maybe she could have been hurt while playing with other kids.
Did she provide you the names of people she was with the night before?
No, I can't recall. I won't say no.
Okay, all right, so what other information did she provide to you?
In regards to dad, she told me he worked 3 jobs. He doesn't come around. He has nothing to do with his daughter, and she doesn't have his number or his address. And she's only able to speak with him through Facebook Messenger sometimes.
Okay, and so based on that information then, what do you do as part of your protocol in this investigation?
Well, being that we didn't have a lot, was speaking with the nurse, I couldn't get any information from them regarding like she was abused. And since we didn't know, I ended up I spoke to my supervisor and told her what was going on. And then we decided to have a unofficial safety plan where.
And what does that mean, unofficial safety
I
plan?
mean, we agreed that the child is removed from mom's care until we can have the staffing, but it's unofficial because it's not signed. If we normally have an official safety plan, then it will be signed off on and all participants agree to it.
So what causes you to have an unofficial safety plan, ma'am?
Because there are still unanswered questions. So we felt it necessary to have the staffing at the building in the morning to go over everything.
All right, so question is, what happens to the child?
I took the child over, I asked mom for someone that Aniya is comfortable with. And she told me she was comfortable with a woman named Charlene. That's who normally babysits for her when mom has to do what she needs to do.
Okay,
So I got Charlene's name. I gave it to my supervisor. My supervisor ran a background check on her.
did Charlene have a last name?
I'm gonna say Wagner.
All right, so is it protocol to run a background check on any person who's going to take custody of a child?
Right.
Okay, so your supervisor did that?
Right.
All right, so what do you do next?
Then after that, I had to check out Charlene's house, make sure it was appropriate, make sure she had wills needed in the home, make sure there were no hazards in the home, and also to speak to Charlene regarding mom and life.
Okay, did you go to Charlene's house?
Yes,
All right, what were your observations of Charlene's home? Was it an appropriate environment for this child?
yes,
Did she have enough food and heat?
she had food, all the basic needs. She had a bed in the back that she normally uses for Aniya when she spends the night.
And did Charlene have her own children?
Her child was grown.
Okay, so an older woman?
Yes,
Okay, so once you did that, did you place Aniya in her care for the evening?
for the evening, yes.
All right, and did you explain to Ms. Day why you were doing that?
Yes,
Why did you do that?
because we had so many unanswered questions, we need to make sure, we needed to find out what was going on with this child.
All
And we
right,
just felt it was safer for her, for her to go somewhere else until we figure this out.
okay, so what happens the next day?
The next day we had a staffing.
All right.
At the agency.
I'm sorry,
At the agency, I'm sorry.
Okay, a staff, what does that mean and who are your participants?
The staffing is a meeting that we have where we discuss, we put everything on the table and we discuss it.
Okay,
At the meeting, it was, of course, myself, mom, but I did tell mom to bring, mom said the child was with other people before. I did tell mom to bring those people. She didn't. But it was 2 supervisors, the facilitator, mom, a collab worker, and myself.
all right, well, let's talk about this. So who are the 2 supervisors that participated in the staffing?
Their names?
Yeah.
Kelly, I forget her last name. And then the facilitator supervisor, I don't know her name, but she was actually in there to check on her workers, the facilitators, make sure they were doing their job right. The collab worker, her name is Sherry, and mom, Sierra, Margot.
Okay, and during the staffing, are you provided any other reports that come to the agency?
No, I just had the reports that the officer gave me, and I presented them at the staff.
Okay, and have there been any other referrals at this point with regards to Aniya?
Before I had the case,
Yes,
there was a referral before I had the patient.
okay. Do you take that into consideration?
Yes,
Do you review that documentation and what the allegations were and who the participants were with regards to that referral?
yes,
All right, is that all reviewed by you and the supervisors, the facilitator, collaborative?
yes.
Is medical also included in this?
I don't remember having any medical at that time, but we did request medical with, after we get a release of information from mom.
Okay. And so what happens during the staffing with regards to this case?
Well, we went over everything. We brought up, I made sure they, everyone read the reports from the daycare. I actually had pictures on my phone and I showed everyone what I seen at the hospital for Aniya. We went over her past case, if that was an unsubstantiated case. This case, we didn't do a meeting to discuss everything.
So unofficially, did you offer them services?
Mom, I
Yes.
did offer her services. She said she was interested in the collab, which, like I said, Sherry was there. She was interested in swimming, a CDA for herself.
Okay, you have to slow down here.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. So the collab, what do you mean?
It's a community collaborative where they, it's a facility where they help parents do certain things. They can help you get into counseling. They can help you with Ohio Benefits Bank. They can help you with food banks, anger management, lawyers if you need be.
Okay, so there's a collaborative. She was living in the city of Euclid at the time?
Right.
Was there a Euclid collaborative?
Right.
All right, and so what kinds of services did you offer and that did she accept?
I offered her those services with the collab and also supportive services because her mom said that Aniya had a behavioral issue. So she said that we were gonna have her tested.
Okay, what kind of behavioral issue did this child have?
Well, she said that maybe when she's around other people, she just acts out of control and she lies a lot.
Okay, during your observations of Aniya, did you see her acting out?
She was very shy with me. She was with the daycare worker just sitting there. She didn't really do much when I was there.
Okay, and this is when you were at the hospital.
Right.
Now, did she bring her to the staffing?
No, Charlene, the one we left her with, she took her to the daycare for us the next morning.
All right, so did you ever see Aniya again?
No.
All right, so you provided this collaborative stuff, you provided, what were the services again?
She wanted, the CDA service, I believe that's what it's called, for herself.
For herself?
Mom.
Okay, what's the
And then
CDA?
It's some certification for daycare or something like that.
Okay,
She wanted swimming lessons for her and,
and you say for her,
Aniya, sorry,
okay,
for Aniya. And it was some other services that were offered by the collab as well for Aniya. And then the supportive services referral was something separate.
okay, and what are those supportive services?
Those supportive services, that was to see if Aniya did have a behavioral problem, and if she did, they could help her with that.
All right, and who was going to be taking care of that?
I did the referrals.
Okay, and then when you do these referrals, then do you also get an answer back from the referrals to see how these referrals have gone?
Most of the time. I know I received one from the collab saying that they have contacted mom. I
Okay,
don't recall one from the supportive services.
okay, did you do any follow-up on that, Ms. James?
I don't remember.
All right, well, once you have the staffing then, what else is part and parcel of your responsibility?
After we have the staff, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
After we have the staffing, we couldn't prove, during staffing, we couldn't prove or disprove their mom actually hurt her child on purpose. So that's what I did, put the services in the home.
Okay, and once you put the services in a home, is there follow-up that your agency does? How does that work?
The collab followed up with us, like I said, and, the MSC, I didn't wait for them. I don't recall them calling me. Normally they call to say if they contacted mom or have not contacted mom, but I don't recall it. But I,
All right, and this is in May of 2017.
right.
Now, is there a time that you are contacted again with regards to this case, or is that solely your involvement?
That's it.
So how then, after the staffing, how is the case left?
Well, after the staff, like I said, we couldn't prove anything, so I throw the services in the home. It's like a third and fourth eye with two different services. So if something is going on, someone will report.
And did you receive any reports after that?
No.
And ma'am, did you have any other contact with Aniya Day or her case at that point?
Not that I can think of.
One moment. Thank you. No further questions.
Cross,
Oh, no, that's yours, thank you.
Ms. Longino,
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Steptown, thank you very much. Next witness.
The state will call Chantel Milton, Your Honor.
This is Dan DeRose with Cleveland 19 News. An overwhelming majority of you on Facebook are sort of in awe at that last witness, Tawana James, the social worker who was put in charge of this case after the May 2017 emergency room visit of Aniya. She was taken to the emergency room after injuries were noticed at the daycare center. She meets one time with the mom. She has a staff meeting the next day to discuss the facts in the case with other members of the Department of Child and Family Services. And they determined that their course of action, or at least Tawana determined that the course of action was to put services in the home, provide services to Sierra Day, such as anger management, swimming classes for the child, and that's where it's left. We'll continue our testimony now.
Yes, let me see. Make sure you speak directly into the microphone. The microphone you could adjust to see what I'm looking.
Good afternoon, Ms. Melton. Can you please state your name and spell your name for the record?
Chantel Milton, Chantale, Milton, Milton.
And ma'am, are you currently employed?
Yes, I am,
Where are you employed at?
at the Cleveland Clinic.
How long have you been employed at Cleveland Clinic?
Like a month and a half now.
Prior to being employed at the Cleveland Clinic, were you employed at a daycare entitled Get Ready, Get Set, Grow?
Yes, at Get Ready, Set, Grow.
Get Ready, Set, Grow. When did you begin working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
2013.
And when did you stop working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
November of 2018.
What was your position at the daycare?
I was a preschool toddler teacher during the day. Did transportation routes in the mornings, did transportation routes in the afternoon, then I was a school day teacher in the evening.
So the morning shift ran from what to what time?
Well, the center opens at 6:30.
Okay. What were your hours at the center?
My hours were 6:30, sometimes 5 to 5, and sometimes to 5:30, just depending on the ratio of the children.
Okay. And what sort of training experience did you have to have in order to do the jobs you did there?
I had to have transportation, bus transportation training, CPR, first aid, child abuse trainings, and then like whatever other extra training things this child would take.
And what extra trainings, if any, did you take?
Just like if you wanted to do like team buildings, whatever age groups you work with, stuff like that, nothing that you just had to do.
During your time at Get Ready, Set, Grow, you have occasion to interact with a Sierra Day.
Yes.
Do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you please identify her?
Stipulate that she can identify Sierra.
Very good, son of.
Thank you, counsel. When did you first, or what were your first interactions with Ms. Day?
When she started at the facility in 2014.
Okay. And when she started at the facility, were you aware that she had a child?
I did.
Was her daughter attending that facility?
She was not.
What was, if you recall, Ms. Day's assignment at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
Now, when she started, I believe she was an infant teacher.
So were you all teaching the same class?
No.
Were you in a classroom together?
No.
Were you ever teaching the same group
No.
of students together?
No.
Okay. Did there come a point in time when Aniya started coming to the daycare?
Yes.
And how old was Aniya when she started coming to the daycare?
She was 3.
When Aniya started coming to the daycare, was Sierra still working there?
Yes.
What class should Aniya have been in when she was at the daycare?
Well, 3 is classified as preschool.
So who would have been her teacher?
Her mom.
Okay. So Aniya's coming to a daycare with her mom being the teacher.
Yes.
What interactions, if any, did you have with Aniya?
Well, she worked mid-shift, so it was like she was coming in during nap time. So I would be in my classroom doing my own thing, and then she would walk down the hall with Aniya and go to her classroom because it was nap time. So she was basically coming in to do start breaks, pretty much.
So Aniya would come into the daycare when her mom, Sierra, would report to work.
Yes, she didn't come every day, but when she came, she would come in with her mom.
What do you mean she didn't come every day?
She didn't attend daycare every day.
Okay. Outside of the daycare, did you have any interactions with Sierra?
No.
Did you ever have a conversation with Sierra about where Aniya was when she was not at the daycare?
No, because my child at the time went there too. So if I just choose to, if you can go to a family member house or however, it just was not my business to ask.
I want to turn your attention to January 16th of 2018. Do you recall working at the daycare on that day?
Yes.
What were your observations and interactions with Sierra and Aniya on January 16th of 2018?
She came in for her shift. They walked down the hall.
And when you say she, are you referring to
Sierra.
Sierra?
Her and Aniya walked down the hall like they usually do, come in, walk to the classroom. I was still in my room. I was actually cleaning up because they had like a messy lunch. I was still cleaning up. And I want to say maybe about
30 minutes later, she came to my room to let me know, like, I guess Aniya had got sick in the bathroom and that she needed to get ready to leave. And I said, well, you need to call the owner of that because I can't give you clearance to leave.
Okay.
And she said, okay, and she left out. They both left out.
When you were working with Sierra, did you ever see any males come to the daycare with her?
Towards like, I want to say right before she stopped working there, I guess at the time it was her boyfriend. He would just, come, drop them off, and well, I can't tell you about pickup because I wasn't there when she left.
The boyfriend that you would see coming to Sierra, with Sierra to drop her off. You see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you please identify him and describe him for the record?
He has on a green shirt and a brown vest.
May the record please reflect that the witness is identified with defendant Deonte Lewis?
May so reflect.
Thank you. You say you would start seeing Mr. Lewis come to the daycare right around the time Sierra stopped working there,
It
correct?
was towards, I want to say, maybe about November-ish, because it was winter time. So that's how I can remember.
And what year are we talking about? November 2017?
2017, yes.
When you would see Mr. Lewis come to the daycare with Sierra, would he interact with anybody?
No, he would just come in, make sure they came in, make sure they got down the stairs and leave.
Did you ever have any interactions or come to be aware of Aniya's biological father?
Yes.
And what were your interactions with him?
I already knew of him prior to the situation at hand. He came in one day and brought, I think it was like a Monday, because he was bringing Aniya back, I guess from like a weekend. I don't know if he might have had her over the weekend. He was bringing her back, came in, said, hey, how you doing? Took her down to her classroom. We got ready to leave out. He said, have a good day. That was, I want to say it was like September.
Of 2017?
Yeah.
Outside of that initial interaction, did you have it up until prior to Aniya's death? Did you have any interactions with Mr. Garrett?
He had called me, I want to say it was like October, November, because, like I said, it was the weather, that's how I can pretty much remember.
And we're still in 2017?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, just wanted to know, like, I guess it was like a restraining order or something that took place or something of that nature, and wanted to know, like, could he come to the center to see Aniya? And I let him know, like, well, with daycare, if it's nothing court written in her file, if you're on your child's paperwork, you can come, to see her, you can't take her. And then he was letting me know about concerns that he had. He asked me, did I have any concerns? And I told him, I'm like, well, really, because me and, her mom really didn't talk or get along too much. So, like, I really didn't have interaction with Aniya because, one, she was in, like, a whole nother age group that I didn't work with. And then, two, just, like, we didn't get along. So, I really never really interacted with her, per se. But I did tell him, like, it was an incident when she was cleaning up, like, with bleach. And she, like,
Overall, go ahead.
a bleach incident. She was cleaning up, like, during the, towards the end of the day, we got to clean up for, like, the next day. And I think either Aniya was near the bucket or trying to get in the bucket, and she was like, stop, like that. But it startled me because I was in, like, a whole nother classroom. But I didn't think anything of it because I didn't tell it my kids, so. But other than that, and he did tell me, he was like, no, I told him, I'm like.
That's sustained.
Okay. Turning your attention back to Mr. Lewis, who would walk with Sierra to the daycare, you said. How often would you see him come to the daycare?
Well, I don't know if they walked
Or
I'm just.
how often would you see him at the daycare?
Maybe 2-3 times during the week.
And that began, you said, around November of 2017?
Yeah.
When did you stop seeing Mr. Lewis about 2 to 3 times a week with Sierra?
When I stopped seeing Sierra.
Thank you. One moment, please, Your Honor. Ms. Milton, I want to go back to the incident on January 16th of 2018. When Sierra and Aniya came into the building, do you recall whether or not Aniya was walking or being carried?
She walked her in.
Okay. And when she was going to the bathroom and walking out with Aniya, do you remember if Aniya was walking or being carried?
Well, I didn't see her go in the bathroom. She just said, when they came into the room to let me know that she told me she had got sick in the bathroom. I didn't even know that she was even in. I thought she was in their classroom, so I don't know. When she brought her in to let me know she was about to go, she had her coat on. They both had their coats on, and she was holding her because she said she had just threw up, and she needed her to get her to the hospital because she had just threw up.
Okay. And then when was the last time you saw Sierra and Aniya?
I want to say that day that she got sick was the last day I seen Aniya.
So January 16th?
Mm-hmm.
And when was the last time you saw Sierra?
I really can't tell you because the way her shift was, she was like a mid shift, and then sometimes she would call off. So I really can't even tell you the last day that I physically seen her at work.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
Cross.
For this witness, Judge, thank you.
Yes, Ms. Milton, you said that you would see Mr. Lewis 2 or 3 times a week. Is that 2 times a week, sometimes, and 3 times a week, sometimes?
Like sometimes it wouldn't be the same days. It wouldn't be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It would be at least 2 or 3 times a week, how I said.
Okay, and you said that was from November 2017 until when?
I can't tell you the last time I seen him. I can't tell you that day. I can just tell you when I started to see him.
Okay, so could you think of maybe a total of how many times you may have seen him?
Maybe like 8 or 9.
8 or 9? Okay. So from November to January, that's 12 weeks approximately. So within those 12 weeks, you think you saw him maybe 8 or 9 times?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you recall talking to an investigator by the name of Edward Hendricks?
Yes.
Talk to Mr. Hendricks?
I think that's his name. I remember someone calling me, yes.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember telling Mr. Hendricks that?
Objection, Your Honor.
Can you approach? Okay.
Interesting questioning here as they approached to talk to the judge. She was just about to ask the witness about an investigator who had called. This is clearly something that the prosecutor didn't know about. And so they are questioning and probably going to ask the judge not to allow this testimony. A lot of you are asking that you don't see why this Chantel Milton is on the stand. What they are doing here, what the prosecution is doing here, is tying Deonte Lewis to this quote-unquote family unit. The fact that for at least a few months he was helping to walk or bring Aniya to the daycare, the Ready, Set, Grow daycare. They're tying him that he had some sort of parental duties is what they're trying to do here. We're still unclear if Deonte Lewis, we take a live picture in the courtroom, that's Deonte in the orange vest. He's the boyfriend. You've got Sierra Day to his left. By painting him into the picture and by showing that, yes, he does bring the child to daycare from time to time, there will be some questions as to his level of caring for Aniya and what he should and shouldn't have known. Remember that when the first officer on scene in March, when he was taking a statement, Deonte Lewis actually identified himself as the stepfather. So he did care on some level. He did have some sort of active role. Whether or not he lived there every day, it doesn't sound like that is going to be much in the way. Again, we're in a sidebar meeting here. The prosecutor and the defense talking to the judge about a phone call with an investigator that this particular woman, Chantel Milton, had. She was a co-worker of Sierra Day. To try and fill in some of the timeline here, because it's getting difficult, because we're dealing with multiple daycares, different jobs. When one daycare stopped seeing her, it's again following this pattern that when somebody would report or somebody would see bruises or cuts and they would make a report to police, Sierra would do what she had to do to get Aniya out of that situation. She changed jobs. She got her out of that daycare. She filed a restraining order against the father when he tried to report injuries to police. So they're setting up this pattern. When you have this coworker who said the last time she saw Aniya was January 16th, 2018. Again, they're setting up this pattern that Sierra would hide Aniya or at least keep her
Ms.
away.
Milton, at the time you spoke with Mr. Hendricks, did you tell him that Deonte would drop off or pick up Aniya from the daycare and she was always happy to see him?
I don't recall.
You don't recall telling Mr. Hendricks that?
No,
That she was always happy to see Deonte?
no.
Okay, then what was her behavior with him that you observed?
It was always him and her mom as a drop off. I never saw a pickup because I would be gone.
Okay, so you never saw him pick her up, or drop her off by himself?
No.
Okay.
Any follow-up?
Just very briefly, Your Honor. So, Ms. Milton, you were used to seeing the defendant Deonte Lewis, Sierra Day, and Aniya Garrett together.
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing
You
further.
step down. Next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would call Zakia Fitzpatrick.
Again, as you saw, there's just as I mentioned, they're trying to set up this pattern that this was some sort of family unit, that Sierra Day, Deonte Lewis, Aniya Day would show up to daycare together. That's what the prosecutor is trying to do, because they know that the defense for Deonte Lewis is that, wait, He didn't live there full time. He didn't have clothes and shaving cream there full time. So how could he know about the alleged abuse that led to Aniya's death? You're watching live testimony, day 3. That is Sierra Day there in the purple flowered shirt. She is on trial for aggravated murder, felonious assault, permitting child abuse, endangering children, and tampering with evidence. And her boyfriend to the left there in the vest, he faces the exact same charges. They are trying both of these individuals together. But if you were with us at noon over the break when we brought in Susan Moran, they don't have to be found guilty or innocent on all of the charges. This isn't an all or nothing kind of case, but that they can be split up. I'm watching the discussion go on our Facebook feed. You might be watching this on a number of our digital platforms, but we keep hearing people asking, why is this not a death penalty case? Ohio does have the death penalty, but the prosecution is not trying for the death penalty here. Max would be life without parole. When you try a death penalty case in the state of Ohio, it becomes very expensive. It's a much longer case. Plus, you have to prove that this was thought out. There needs to be a premeditation component. Did she, in let's use another murder case as an example, did they go out and buy a gun? That's not what happened here, but there has to be that forethought, this pattern of events that leads up to the death. Let's get back to our testimony.
Kia Fitzpatrick, SAKEYFITZPATRICK.
And Ms. Fitzpatrick, are you employed?
Yes.
Where do you work at?
Creative Kids Childcare.
And what do you do at Creative Kids Childcare?
I am the toddler teacher.
Was there a point in time when you worked at Get Ready, Set, Grow Daycare?
Yes.
What did you do at that facility?
In the morning, I was the head pre-K teacher, and in the afternoon, I was the school-age teacher.
When did you start working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
June of 2017.
When did you stop working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
July of 2018.
What sort of training and experience did you have to be a preschool teacher?
I have my CDA, which is a Child Development Associate. I'm also certified in First Aid, CPR, communicable disease, child abuse, and domestic violence.
Slow down.
Okay, if you could start over and go a little bit slower for me. Remember, our court reporter has to take down everything you say. Sometimes I talk too fast for her, so just take a deep breath and intentionally try to go slower, okay?
I have my CDA, which is the Child Development Associate. I have my First Aid CPR certification, my child abuse certification, my domestic violence certification, and communicable disease.
When did you say you first started working at Get Ready, Set, Grow?
June 2017.
And when you started working there, what was your assignment?
I was the lead pre-K teacher in the mornings and the school-age teacher in the afternoon.
And what time did the morning shift run for?
I did 7:30 to 11:30, and then I want to say, because I had an extended break, so it was like 2:30 to like 5. I was the school-age teacher.
What sort of things would you do as a pre-K teacher?
I did daily lesson planning with them. I did art activities with them. Excuse me. I assisted with serving meals for lunch and kept active supervision at all times.
When you started working at Get Ready, Set, Grow, was there anybody that you knew prior to working there already working that agency?
No, not personally, no.
Okay. When you started working there, did you have interactions with somebody by the name of Sierra Day?
Yes.
Do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Do you please
We
identify?
stipulate that this witness can identify us to you.
Thank you, counsel. Thank you, Your Honor. What were some of your first interactions with the defendant, Sierra?
Well, I met her the day that I got the job when I did my interview, and at the time I didn't realize that I had went to school with her because she was older than me. But when I met her, she was fine. She was outgoing. She was soft spoken.
Was she someone, one of your coworkers that you would start talking to and having conversations with at work?
Yeah.
Did you two sort of become acquainted with one another?
We did.
What sort of things would you talk about?
Just typical stuff. Like, it wasn't nothing really out of the ordinary. Just little simple conversations.
Okay. During your interactions with Ms. Day, would she talk about her relationships and would you talk about your relationships?
Not really.
Okay. Did there come a point in time where she made you aware when she was dating someone?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
She just told me that.
Objection.
She told me that she was dating someone who went to school with us, and that was it.
When did she first inform you they had started dating?
I want to say it was around August of 2017.
And she indicated it was somebody that you two had went to school with?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, which school are we talking to?
Shaw High School.
And did she ever provide you with that person's name?
Yes.
And what was his name?
Deonte.
Do you recall his last name?
No, not at the time. She didn't give me a last name.
And during your chats with Sierra while you were at work, would you guys sort of talk about her relationship with Deonte as it was new?
Not really.
Okay. Did she mention how often they would spend time together?
I mean, from my knowledge, they were together. If it wasn't every day, it was every other day.
Objection, Your Honor, may we approach?
The defense, this is Dan DeRosa with Cleveland 19. The defense for Deonte Lewis is taking exception to this testimony in that, again, it goes back to the idea of hearsay, that this is a conversation she had with Sierra. The two of them are co-workers. It's a conversation that they had together, and whether or not she can remember it word for word. The gist of this conversation, again, is that the prosecutor is trying to set up that there is a relationship, that she referred to him as the boyfriend.
Sierra told her.
Very good. Overall. And proceed.
Ms. Fitzpatrick, did Sierra tell you how often she and Deonte would spend time together?
No.
Okay. Based on the conversation you had with her, were you able to determine how often he was around?
No, not really. Stuff.
Okay. Did you see Deonte at Get Ready, Set Grow?
Yes.
How often would you see him at the daycare?
It wasn't very often. Like, he would come and drop them off at work, and he would come in sometimes to go down to the classroom and talk to her, but it might have been maybe once or twice a week I would see him.
Once or twice a week? Mm-hmm. When you would see Mr. Lewis once or twice a week, would he interact with any of the other staff?
No.
What would he do when he came into the building?
Walk in, go straight to where she is, and then when he was done talking to her, walk out.
Do you recall when you first started seeing him at the daycare?
No, I don't recall.
Do you recall the last time you saw him at the daycare?
It was in January 2018. Sierra came in to pick up her last check, and he was with her.
What observations, if any, did you have about Mr. Lewis when he was at the daycare?
He just seemed like a typical dude. He would walk in, and walk out, and he would say nothing to nobody and make eye contact. So, I mean, I didn't deal with him.
Did he interact with Miss Day?
Yes,
Was she the only person in the daycare that he would interact with?
yes.
You mentioned that you taught the pre-K class, correct?
Yes,
And would Aniya have been of the age that she would have been in your class?
yes.
Can you tell me about your observations of Aniya?
She was a happy, spunky, outgoing, soft-spoken, just a happy child.
And so that was how she would present when she came to your class?
Yes, when I did see her, yes, because Sierra's shift was, I believe it started at 11:30, so she didn't bring her in until her shift started. And by that time, I was going on break, so I went to the school-age classroom when I came back from break.
Okay. And when you saw Aniya, where would she be located at in the daycare?
Usually in the classroom with her mother.
Was there any other teacher assigned to that classroom?
Me, but in the morning.
Was there any other teacher assigned to that classroom at the same time as Sierra?
No.
So Sierra was the only teacher at Get Ready, Set, Grow. It was actually in the class with Aniya.
Yes.
When was the last time you recall seeing Aniya?
I believe, well, no, not I believe. It was definitely January of 2018.
Tell me about the last recollection you have of seeing Aniya.
Actually, it was right before Martin Luther King Day, so like that weekend, we had a long weekend, and when we came back, I didn't see her, because when I came back from break, Sierra was already gone for the day, so I didn't see her, physically see her. So it was before that weekend.
And we're talking January of 2018.
Yes.
When was the last time you remember seeing Sierra?
When she came and picked up her last check, which was right after Martin Luther King Day, probably either the second or last week in January.
And when Sierra came to pick up her last check, who was with her?
Deonte.
Was Aniya with her?
No.
But Mr. Lewis was?
Yes.
Whom, if anyone, did Mr. Lewis speak to when he came to the daycare for the last time with Sierra?
Nobody.
Whom, if anyone, did Sierra speak with when they came for the last time?
Nobody.
And if you recall, what time of day were they there?
I think I was on break. So it was between 11:30 and 2:30, 11:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. because I was on break.
And Aniya was not present, correct?
No.
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Dan DeRosa again with Channel 19. So again, the
Yeah,
reason
in your
we're hearing this
conversations
testimony.
with, Sierra about her relationship with Deonte, did she ever mention whether or not he spent the night at her home?
No.
Thank you. She didn't mention it, or she didn't say?
She didn't mention anything to me about that.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson,
Nothing on that, Judge, thank you.
Ms. Longgreen.
Yes, Ms. Fitzpatrick, you said that you did see Mr. Lewis come to pick Aniya up before?
Not to pick her up, but to drop her off.
Drop her off, so you never saw him come pick her up?
No, because I left before she did. She was the closer.
No, Aniya, not Sierra.
No.
Okay. So you only saw him drop Aniya off, you never saw him pick her up?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Let me step down, thank you. Let's go sidebar real quick.
Again, Dan DeRose with Channel 19. Going to talk while we have this sidebar. I'm assuming the judge is going to ask how many more witnesses. We're getting close to when the judge might wrap it up. It's 4 o'clock Cleveland time. The gist of that testimony is twofold. It's A, to show that the two of them are some sort of family unit, and that B, the last time that Sierra and Aniya are seen is January of 2018. Let's see if we get some closing, or if we get some recess announcements here from the judge.
Raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear you'll testify to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and this you do as you shall answer to God with pains and penalty of perjury.
I do.
Yes. Speak directly in the microphone. You can adjust the microphone so you won't move. Be quiet.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Detective. Can you please state your name and spell your name for the record?
Yes, Detective John Braun, B-R-A-U-N.
And sir, are you employed?
Yes, I am.
Whom are you employed by?
The City of Euclid,
In what capacity, sir?
detective.
And how long have you been employed by the city of Euclid as a detective?
I've been a detective since December of 2012.
And what are some of your duties and assignments as a detective?
I conduct follow-up investigations for felony cases, and I'm also tasked with digital evidence recovery for our office.
And what sort of training experience do you have for those assignments, detective?
For the digital evidence recovery,
Yes, detective.
I have training through Homeland Security, the Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy, as well as the National White Collar Crime Center.
Can you briefly walk us through the process through which a phone extraction is completed?
Sure. I take pictures of the phone to show how the phone is when we received it. And then if there's a SIM card installed, I'll extract the SIM card data. And then I conduct whatever examinations are available for that model phone.
I want to turn your attention to March 24th of 2018. Were you working on that day?
Yes, I was.
What was your assignment?
Detective.
Associated with your work on March 24th, 2018, did you have occasion to complete extractions for 2 cell phones connected with the homicide case of Aniya Day-Garrett?
Yes, I did.
And what did you have to do in order to complete those extractions?
If I remember correctly, the phone, I know at least one of them was password protected, so I had to wait for passwords to complete that extraction. Once I had that, the phones, like I said, I take pictures of phones, conduct extractions of the SIM cards, and then conduct whatever extraction is available for those phones.
And what sort of media device do you put the extractions on once they are completed?
The extractions are saved to our server.
Okay. After being saved to the server, are they transferred to a jump drive or disk based on their size?
Only if they're needed for court or some other reason, otherwise they remain on their server.
As part of your duties associated with these extraction reports, Detective, would you have provided this information to Detective Krozak?
Yes, I would.
Would she have had access to obtain the extraction reports that you completed?
Yes, you would.
And are you aware if that process was completed in this case?
Yes, it was.
I'm going to show you briefly the extraction reports so you may identify them. Would you recognize them if you saw them again?
Yes, I would.
Approach, please, John.
Right. What exhibit is this?
908 and 909. Detective, showing you what has been marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 909. Do you see on the model pad here, sir?
Yes, I can.
And is this consistent with the extraction report that you would have completed associated with this case?
Part of it's a report, yes, but that is all the stuff I extracted.
And when you say part of it's a report, what do you mean?
Well, if you go into there, it's in the folders. There's a folder for each phone. So I believe if you went back to the main folder. So now this is the report here.
Okay, so this is a report,
Yes.
but all of the folders and all the documents are entirely what you extract from the device,
Correct.
correct?
It's all the data.
That's in relation to exhibit I-9. And state exhibit 908. Is this the other extraction that you completed?
Those are multiple extractions.
What do you mean when you say multiple extractions?
There's one for an Alcatel phone, one for an Aspen tablet, and one for an RCA tablet.
And are these all the extractions you completed in association with this matter, detective?
There.
Thank you. One moment, please, Your Honor. And detective, generally speaking, what information is contained in the extraction reports?
In the reports, whatever data is parsed out by the software.
What do you mean when you say that?
There's a lot. If it's a phone, it could be text messages, videos, photos, SMS messages, powering function, all kinds of stuff. It's a lot.
So anything associated with that phone device could potentially be part of the extraction report?
Correct.
Any exchanges or communication with that phone device could be part of the extraction report?
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
No questions, Your Honor.
No questions, Your Honor.
Let me step down.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude it for the day. Please do not discuss this case. Once again, I'd ask that you report to the fourth court tomorrow morning at 8:45. We'll start at 9 o'clock. Have a good night.
As you heard the judge announce, that's going to wrap up court for the day. We're going to stay with you. We've got a little bit of coverage we want to continue with and review as we wait for the defendants to be taken out of the courtroom. Want to make sure that everything goes as planned. Want to make sure you see every moment of them before they're taken out of the courtroom. You're looking live inside the courtroom. Want to make sure there aren't any waiting for the judge and the jury to be taken out. Interesting day of testimony. It was a long day. You remember on Friday, the judge had to conclude at 2 in the afternoon. Today, we went right up until 4. So from 9 o'clock until 4 o'clock Cleveland time, we had testimony. Right there being taken out is Sierra Day. Then you will see Deonte being taken out. Deonte Lewis will be taken out. The one piece of testimony from this afternoon that I'd like to play for you is that of Aniya's father, Michael Garrett. He took the stand, and if you missed it, we want to apologize. We had a little bit of a glitch in the middle. On some of our digital platforms, they only allow us to go live for so long. It cuts us off, but we immediately start right back up. So if you lost us on one of our digital platforms, that was the reason. But we want to make sure that you're going to get gavel to gavel image